6 long week winter. There was snow, there was ice, until they finally got a new proposal from the WNBA owners. Well, that proposal came late last night. It came last night from the owners to the players.
6 weeks. That's how long WNBA players waited in silence while their season hung in the balance. 6 weeks with no counter-proposal, no negotiations, nothing. And then, on Friday night, the owners finally submitted their latest offer. But here's what nobody is talking about. The previous proposal, the owners leaked to ESPN, revealed something absolutely stunning. They are offering to more than double maximum salaries and push average player salaries to $1 million by the end of the next CBA. And the Players' Union is still holding out for something the league says is financially impossible.
Escalated salaries up to $1 million for the average player by the end of the next CBA. Was that the new proposal? Or is this a new one? Is this one we haven't got the details of yet? I'm sure the Players' Union is going to share this. They're going to put this out at some point, I would guess. Maybe.
Look at those numbers again. The current maximum salary stands at about $1.87 million in the final year of the current CBA. The owner's leaked proposal would raise that to $2.4 million. And for average players, salaries would climb to $1 million by the end of the next agreement. These are not small increases. This is transformational money for a league that has never made a profit in its 28-year history. But Union President Nneka Ogwumike made it absolutely clear on Friday that the two sides are nowhere near an agreement on revenue sharing. And that issue alone could derail the entire 2025 season.
The whole thing down. That's not what fans want after watching. Number one, look, 3/4 of all fans are tuning in for Caitlin Clark. And after seeing her have to deal with the injuries and everything and only seeing 13 games last year, nobody wants to see 20 games from this league. We want to see every game played. We don't even want to see preseason games lost at this point. Quote, I know the players 100% want to play this year.
Here's where things get complicated. The players want 30% of gross revenue, not net revenue after expenses, gross revenue. That means before the league pays for charter flights, upgraded facilities, 5-star hotels, medical services, security, and arena costs. Adam Silver has already stated publicly that this demand is not financially viable. Meanwhile, the owner's latest proposal offered players more than 70% of net revenue, their share of the profits after all those upgraded expenses are covered. Think about that math for a second. The players would receive the majority of whatever remains after the league pays for all the costs they have been demanding for years.
Begin May 8th, but an expansion draft, free agency, and rookie draft also need to happen before the league tips off. Ogwumike said once the revenue sharing is solved, the rest hopefully will fall into place. Quote, we made the point that once we nail this, we can get everything else done. I'm sure. Because who wouldn't want 30% of gross revenue?
But Nneka Ogwumike said something revealing in her interview with the Associated Press. She stated, once they nail revenue sharing, everything else will fall into place quickly. Translation: the union have made this their line in the sand. They are not budging on that 30% of gross revenue demand, even though it would actually give them less money than the 70% of net revenue offer. This isn't about maximizing player pay anymore. This is about principle. And that's a dangerous place to be when the season is set to start May 8th, and the league still has to conduct an expansion draft, free agency, and rookie draft before tip-off.
Limited their players because they got players that are in the union playing for that league. Quote, I actually like the fact that we've had these 6 weeks now still waiting for a proposal. It's given us a gift of time. And so, in December, after the strike authorization vote, we were able to meet in Miami and talk to players. Having the strike on the table is something we're very much aware of, but there's so many more conversations that have to.
Now, Here's the part that should terrify everyone involved. The union leadership has been meeting with players, including those in Athletes Unlimited, using what Necker called a gift of time during these 6 weeks of silence. They've been preparing for a potential strike. They even held a strike authorization vote back in December. Ogwumike acknowledged that having a strike on the table is something they are very aware of. But she also said there are many more conversations that need to happen before they'd pull that trigger. And let me tell you why a strike would be catastrophic. Not just bad, but a catastrophe.
Knowing how much money they're leaving on the table, oh man, that would look awful. Whether, I know a lot of people don't like to have this brought up, but of a league that's never turned a profit, a player strike will look ridiculous. It will look absurd. I mean, wow. So if the league was to ever come back, is anybody going to care? The damage that, these players are not thinking about the damage that was done to Major League Baseball at one time because of a work stoppage.
Public relations nightmare alone would be devastating. Imagine the headlines: WNBA players strike despite record pay increase offer. The owners have already leaked the proposal details to ESPN so fans can see what's being rejected. They're trying to control the narrative because they know how this looks. A league that has never been profitable, subsidized by the NBA for nearly 3 decades, now facing players threatening to strike after being offered salary increases that would more than double their pay. How do you think casual fans would react? How about sponsors? Or the networks that just signed those new media deals? But the PR disaster is just the beginning. The real damage would be long-term, and possibly permanent.
Years for the league to be able to bounce back. One could argue that was the passing of the torch from Major League Baseball to the NFL, because the NFL had the Major League Baseball had a work stoppage. It killed the World Series that year, and then it took about 5 years for fans to start coming back. It took the McGwire, Sosa, Bonds home run record chase.
Major League Baseball learned this lesson the hard way in 1994. They had a work stoppage that canceled the World Series, baseball's crown jewel, gone. And you know what happened? It took 5 years for fans to start coming back. 5 years. It required the epic home run chase of Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa, and Barry Bonds to reignite interest. Even then, after that historic moment brought fans back to ballparks, television ratings never fully recovered. Baseball was America's pastime, the ratings juggernaut. Then the work stoppage happened, and the NFL passed them and never looked back. Now, apply that cautionary tale to the WNBA in 2025. This league just got real, sustained eyeballs for the first time in its history. Caitlin Clark's rookie season drew 3.2 million viewers to games. Merchandise sales exploded. Attendance records fell. The league signed new media deals with ESPN, NBC, and Amazon worth $2.22 billion over 11 years. This was the breakthrough moment everyone had been waiting for since 1997. And now, the players are considering walking away from it. Think about the timing. Owners have every reason to be cautious about whether this surge in viewership is sustainable. 3/4 of fans tuned in specifically for Caitlin Clark. What happens if she gets injured again? What happens if the product on the court doesn't live up to the hype? What happens if casual fans tune out after realizing the league's best team only plays 40 games instead of 82? The owners are trying to lock in a deal that protects the league's financial future while still dramatically increasing player compensation. They are offering guaranteed money based on current revenue with escalators tied to growth. The players are demanding a percentage of gross revenue that assumes growth is permanent and guaranteed. They want to be paid like the NBA before proving they can sustain NBA-level interest. Here's what's frustrating for fans. We've been vocal about what we want to see. We don't want Caitlin Clark taking dangerous hits every game. We don't want the officiating inconsistencies that plagued last season. We don't want petty drama dominating storylines instead of basketball excellence. Fans have made it clear. If the product doesn't improve, or if the rookie sensation gets injured because the league won't protect its stars, we'll tune out. Advertisers are watching. Media rights deals depend on viewership. If fans abandon the league after a work stoppage, what happens to those contracts? What happens when NBC and Amazon realize they overpaid for a product that lost its audience? The WNBA doesn't have the luxury of a century of built-in fan loyalty like baseball did. This league is one bad decision away from irrelevance. Now, let's talk about what the players are actually turning down. The leaked proposal shows just how significant this offer is. We're not talking about small cost of living adjustments. We're talking transformational wealth for women's basketball players. A max salary of $2.4 million and average salaries reaching $1 million. And that's before endorsements, overseas contracts, appearance fees, and speaking engagements. For a league that's never been profitable, that's an extraordinary commitment from ownership. And yet, Nneka Ogwumike said on Friday she's confident games will be played. Not that the season will start on time, or that all 40 games will happen. She said games will be played. That wording is concerning. It suggests the union is considering a shortened season. Maybe 20 games, maybe less. Let me be blunt. If they only play 20 games, just shut it down. Fans don't want that. After seeing Caitlin Clark deal with injuries and only play 13 playoff games, nobody wants a truncated season. We want every game, even pre-season. The product is finally good enough to sustain a full season, yet the union is floating, giving us half of one. The owners understand the stakes. They leaked the proposal details so fans can see the actual numbers. They want the public to understand that this isn't about owners being cheap or refusing to pay players fairly. It's about players demanding a financial structure that doesn't work for a league still building toward profitability. The owners are offering a massive pay increase tied to revenue growth. The players want a percentage of gross revenue regardless of profit. These positions are fundamentally incompatible. And here's the reality of collective bargaining. Somebody has to prioritize the long-term health of the league over short-term leverage. If both sides dig in and refuse to compromise, if the players strike and the season gets cancelled or shortened, everyone loses. Players lose a year of earnings and career development. Owners lose their investment. Fans lose the product they just started caring about. And the league loses 28 years of momentum. So, what happens next? The players received the new proposal Friday night. We don't know the details yet. The union will review it, probably leak it to preferred media contacts, and then respond. The clock is ticking. May 8th is the scheduled season opener. Before that, the league needs an expansion draft for the Golden State Valkyries, free agency for roster building, and the rookie draft so Paige Bickers and the 2025 class can join. All of that requires a signed CBA. The question is, will the union accept a deal that gives them record compensation, but not the exact revenue-sharing structure they demand? Will they take 70% of net revenue instead of 30% of gross? Will they accept salary escalators, tied to growth instead of guaranteed percentages regardless of profit? Will they prioritize playing basketball over making a statement about principle? Because here's the reality. This offer represents generational wealth for WNBA players. It would make the WNBA the highest-paying women's professional sports league in the world by a wide margin. It would give players financial security that previous generations could only dream of if they reject it over gross versus net revenue calculations. They risk losing the fans who just started watching. The owners leaked those slides because they knew how it would play in public opinion. Fans see the salary numbers and ask, why aren't the players jumping at this deal? The narrative shifts from owners won't pay players to players are being unreasonable. Across social media, that strategy is working. Fans are siding with ownership, a rarity in professional sports labor disputes. The union has a choice: continue demanding 30% of gross revenue, knowing it's a non-starter for ownership, and risk a work stoppage that could destroy everything, or accept a deal that more than doubles their compensation, gives them the majority of profits, and allows them to prove viewership growth is sustainable before asking for more in the next negotiation. What would you do if you were a WNBA player right now? Vote to strike over the difference between 30% gross and 70% net? Risk losing a year, damaging the league's momentum, and alienating fans? Or take the massive pay increase, play the season, and prove your worth even more next time? Drop your answer in the comments. This decision will define the WNBA's future. The question is, will the players' union prioritize principle over pragmatism?